Hello and welcome everyone. This is Sada here, and we are here to learn about Laravel Orient today. I'm going to run you through the package and its initial setup in this video, and then in the next video we're going to dive deep into it, and we're going to see how easy and simple it is to develop a REST API with Laravel using Laravel Orient. It's a completely new package. It has just come out, and as it says, as easy as 1 2 3. It's fairly easy to come up with APIs and API endpoints with a lot of features. Like if you go to get started, you see that index, search, show, store, update, destroy, restore, batch update, batch destroy, and batch restore. All of these operations have been taken care of, and you'll see that it's very quick and it's very easy to come up with an endpoint. So what we'll do is we'll first of all we'll cover as to how you can develop an API the normal way, in the usual way, let's call it, in Laravel, and then we'll see as to how you can do it with Orient, and you'll see the difference as to how this is going to be. This is going to be a lot easier, and let's start by opening item. And let's bump the size a bit so that you can see easily. And we have okay, I'm already into my code folder, and let's do a Laravel new Orient. What this is going to do is this is going to do the latest installation of Laravel for us using Composer. All right, and this is installing all the dependencies, as you can see, PHP unit and all a lot of well-known and a lot of not very well-known dependencies. But anyways, this is how the installation of Laravel goes, and we are going to cd into the folder cd Orient, and we are going to initiate git on this, and we are going to state everything to the git, and we are going to commit it saying Laravel install. Now I tend to do this early on because for once we have a reset point to begin with, and you also when it's open in code editor, like I'm going to open it now in VS Code, this is going to give you some green it's going to turn the color of the files that are added later on to green, and that's going to give an idea as to where the generated files are going. So right now we have a fresh install of Laravel, so let's just first go to the env file, and let's see with Laravel's new installations, Laravel's database name, instead of in the old unlike the old versions in which it used to say Laravel, it's now taking the name, database name, from the application name, and we have Orient here. So let's just quickly create a database with the name so that we can connect to the database. So it's going to be create database Orient, and let's see, show databases, and as you can see, Orient is there in our database list. So exit, and we're good. So just to test that everything is working correctly up until now, let's do a php artisan migrate so that our default migrations go over, and we know that that everything is working correctly. All right. And now from here, let's just quickly build a small post API, and we're going to use the regular way in Laravel, so that you know as to how how an API endpoint can be generated for for a particular model in Laravel in the usual fashion, and that is also a lot easier than a lot of other frameworks and other languages. So what we're going to do is we're going to first of all make a model. Okay, and we're going to call it post, because the example that we're going to use and the example that is used in the origin documentations is also that of a post. So I'm going to create a post model, and I'm also going to add an -mf flag. This is one of my favorites. So that will give us not only a migration, but it'll also give us a factory. So instead of generating data manually, since this is a demo, we're going to use a factory so that we can quickly have some data that we can play with, or that we can show to the front end. So what I'm going to the API endpoint. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, since we've got our model and we've got our migration and we've got our factory, so I'm going to also generate the PHP make controller. I'm going to do an API controller, and I'm going to call it I'm going to call it posts controller. Okay, and I'm going to do an -hyphen API flag in the end. So that's going to give us an API controller with only the API functions in it. There's nothing extra that we don't need. It's just destroy, update, show, store, and index, only API functions. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to also generate a resource. So that's going to be basically the fifth file. So we have a model, we have a factory, we have a migration, and we have a controller, an API controller, and now we are going to generate a resource file. PHP artisan make resource. Now this is going to help us control what we are where we can show to an API endpoint. So this is going to be I'm just going to call it post. Okay, and as you can see, the beauty of Laravel is that when you give these commands, they're going to land into their respective folders, and you don't have to move anything. So because we initiated Git and we committed the Laravel install to Git, we can see that these are the new files that have been created meanwhile. So as you can see, there is an API resource, there is a post model. There is there is an API post controller. Then we have a post resource, we have a post model, we have our post factory, and we also have our post migration. So we're going to go to our post migration, and what we're going to do is we are going to add a few fields. So let's make it title, since this is a post, and let's also add content maybe. You can call it anything, but I think rarely anybody has called it content, so I'm going to call it content. Okay, and you can also do probably a featured pic, a featured image maybe. Okay, so that's going to be our blog image. All right, and what we're going to do is we are going to we're going to use string here as well. All right, and let's just migrate this over. So let's just, instead of going back, PHP artisan migrate fresh, or even if we do it PHP artisan migrate, because this is a new table, this would just be migrated over. But just out of habit, sometimes I do migrate fresh. I know a lot of developers do. So what we're going to do is we have all these migrations here, and we have our post migration as well. If we go to SQL Ace, I think we'll probably need to restart it. By the way, those of you who are not familiar with SQL Ace, or who are still using SQL Pro, I think you should switch to SQL Ace. One thing that I still have to make it do is remember my credentials, and that's something that I always forget, and it keeps asking me for them. So okay, and I think the way to do it is add to favorites. Yeah, okay, and that's going to remember the credentials now. So if you go to Orion, our database that we created, you'll see that you have this posts table along with uh, all the columns that we generated. Okay, so coming back to the application, we're still going to use the VS Code terminal because it's operating system agnostic. So if somebody says, okay, I don't have item, of course you can use your own command line tool, but the one built in VS Code is also okay. All right. So our next step is going to be, we have our table here, and let's go to the factory, and let's generate. Let's actually open this on the side. Let's open the post factory on the side by clicking option and then clicking on it, and you're going to see that this is going to give us. Okay, so we're going to generate some data from here. So, and we are going to say this faker. And now, one word of caution though, that faker is being abandoned. So I think with the passage of time, you'll need to, I think the community will find its way, but still, we'll probably need to, come up with something. Okay, so I'll look for sentence here, and let's pick this one up. All right, and put a comma in the end, and let's say content, and I will do this faker, and we are going to use, I think let's close item because it keeps coming back. Okay, let's go to the content, and okay, let's go to faker, and let's pick this one. Okay, and I think we should be good. Okay, all right, we also need to do something with the title content, and we also need to do something for the featured image. So featured image will need to get, as I say, a little creative, and instead of using the standard stuff, we can go to lorempixel.com, and let's just use any size, but let me just go to lorempixel.com, and that's going to give us an idea. One thing I hate about lorempixel.com, and I think they should do something about it, is like it's terribly slow. And during one of these demos, it takes a lot of time to load the site, and it also takes a lot of time when you are pulling the data from API. So it's not really, that is something they probably need to do something about. Okay, so let's do a lorempixel.com and slash, let's say maybe 640 by 480, and then we will slash, we'll add, let's say, what kind of image do we want? Okay, taking all the time in the world. All right, so let's just probably just use the people endpoint, and let's just say, okay, dot rand and 1,10. That's my favorite way of appending it in the end with just adding a number from 1 to 10, and that's going to, the dot is basically for concatenation. So in PHP, so I'm going to, so we've given it this this URL, and then we want a random number added in the end. All right, okay, yeah, okay, and if we go down somewhere, all right, it's still loading. All right, so I think we're good. Instead of just keep waiting for this, yeah, that's basically how it's going to work. So let's just use the people one. All right, and so I think we're good. And so next, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our seeders folder, and we are going to uncomment this line, and let's also generate some posts using this, and maybe let's generate some 20 posts. So whenever we run the seeder, this should run the factory, and this should give us 20 posts. So this is going to give us 10 users and 20 posts. So just so that you can see it again, going to database/seeders folder and database seeder.php, and then you go to the user model and you go to the post model, and you'll see that that you have 20 posts here. All right, 10 users and 20 posts. So all we need to do now is, in order to generate our data, is going to be php artisan migrate, and let's do a fresh again and say -- seed, and this is going to seed the data in the database. So if we go to SQLase again and we open our table, it's going to give us 10 users. We already have users factory included out of the box, so it's going to create 10 users using that, and it's going to create 20 posts just like we wanted, with the title and content and everything. So if we were to make a change, for example, there's one change that I would like. I think instead of 6 words in the title, we would like 3, and instead of 3 sentences here, let's make it 5. And all we need to do in order to change the data is that we're going to have to run this command again. And as you can see, it has shortened the title, and it has added a longer content here. So that's something that we want, just so that things show in a better way. All right, so now that we are ready with our data, let's get working on our API endpoint, and let's first go to the api.php, and let's import the API controller first. So we're going to say use app http API and post controller. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to say route, and we are going to say API resource, and we are going to say, let's say, post. So we are going to look at the post endpoint. We're going to use API/post, and we want the post controller, and we're going to pass it as a fully qualified class. All right, so I think we are good, because in the resource, whenever you create a resource, it actually returns everything, returns to array. So it's returning everything. Okay, so one more thing before we go any further. The last thing is going to be, we're going to have to use a resource in the post controller. So it's going to be use app http resources actually, and slash post as post resource. All right, and we're going to come to our index, and we're going to say post is equal to post and post, and let's say all right, yes, let's fetch the latest posts. All right, okay, post is equal to post, and it's asking us, it's giving us a squiggly line. It's saying that we need to import the post, and since it's Laravel 8, it has to be use app model post, and the post is imported, and we are fetching all the posts. Now let's return them to our index endpoint /post endpoint. Okay, and it's going to be return post resource and collection, and we are going to pass in the posts. So I know it seems like a bit of a setup, but even with the Laravel regular way of doing things, if we do a PHP arts and serve now, which probably we should have done earlier to show some of the new developers, but if we do PHP arts and serve, that is going to give us um, our app that we just built in. Okay. Okay, so if we do PHP artisan serve, and which we should have done earlier, probably just to show some at least some new developers, and get them excited with at least when you see something on the screen, you're more excited, and you feel that everything is working, and that's kind of a small milestone. So, all right, so you see your Laravel application here. And let's see as to how things are from here on. So what we need to do is /API/posts, and let's see what we get. Okay, it's throwing something at us, and it says target class post controller does not exist. Of course, it does not. It's posts controller. So I think we probably did a post controller somewhere. Okay, let's make use of the search. Okay, yes, and we see that instead of post controller, we did a post controller, and that's why it's throwing stuff at us. So if we go back, it's now giving us a different error, and it says target class API/HTTP/API post does not exist. So let's see what we have done wrong here. So it's app HTTP API and post controller, and it does exist. So where else have we API/post? Okay, where else we have used it? App HTTP API post controller does not exist. All right, post controller. I think we are okay here. Let's go to probably where else did we use it? Okay, let's make use of the search again. Post controller. Okay, use HTTP controller. Okay, the namespace is correct. Okay, yes. Of course, we had to say HTTP. After HTTP, it was supposed to be controllers. So it's good that it happened. So as to how to stay calm, especially when you're live coding, and figure out what the problem is. So again, I was making a mistake. So it's use app HTTP controllers API and post controller. Sometimes when you have a problem, you can go right click, and you can do a copy relative path and paste it, and maybe comment it. So if you and that's going to give you the exact path, so you'll know as to what is the mistake that you are making. All right, so I don't think we're making any now, and if you refresh, this is going to give us our beautiful API endpoint, and it's wrapping everything in a data array, and it's giving us these small objects. And if you're wondering how I'm getting this awesome display instead of the raw JSON API response, I'm actually using a JSON formatter Chrome extension. So if you install this JSON formatter Chrome extension, this is going to give you this beautiful stuff. So this is basically what we are doing. We have a title, we have a content, we also have our feature image across and for all the 20 uh, all the 20 posts that we generated. So this is the usual way of, this is the regular way of doing things with Laravel, building an API in the regular way with Laravel. And as you can see, even now we don't have anything extra. So we don't have any pagination. And if we, for example, if we go to let's say I'm using Insomnia, but you can use Postman. Totally use Postman. But Insomnia is my favorite REST client on a Mac. So yeah, I choose to verify Insomnia. I don't know for some reason, but anyways. Okay, and have we got Insomnia? Come on, Insomnia. Okay, here it is. And we're going to try, because what we have done right now is, all we have done is we've gone in the post controller, and we have only added the index function. So of course it's going to help us bring fetch these fetch these all these entries, but it's not going to give us a lot of other stuff. So if we go to, let's say, API/posts here, and we do a send. Okay, this is for sure going to bring us all the data from this API endpoint, and this is going to show us everything. But let's say, for instance, if we want the first post and we do a post/1, of course we haven't configured anything, so it's saying nobody returned for response. So that means, so even if we go in the browser, it should give us a blank page, because we haven't configured anything for the show endpoint. So if we go to show, and if we do let's bring in the posts, and okay, and let's so what we do is, although this is simple, what I'm trying to emphasize here is that this is the usual way of doing things, and then we'll do things the Orion way so that you understand the difference. So return new post resource, as we had brought it in, and we are going to say post singular. Okay, so if we now send this request, this is going to give us our first post. So what I'm trying to emphasize here is that for any and everything, for example, for post and for update and for destroy and all of that, you of course need to go to that particular function and make all those settings. I won't go ahead and set all of this up, because with Oregon you're going to get it right out of the box. So with this, I think let's stop this here, and let's. I think this would give you quite an idea as to how things are in the usual way. Things are done in a usual way in Laravel for API development, and this is also quite useful. But in our next video, let's switch to Orion, and let's see as to how things happen with Orion, and that's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of endpoints you're going to get out of the box, and that is something that you really should have. So let's just move on to the next video and see as to how things are. Thank you.